My name is Shauna Hyder, and I have worked at the community college a long time, so you may or may not know who I am. I did an early retirement and I'm teaching part-time. I just needed more time for all the other things I want to do in life, but I still love teaching. And so I retired from full-time 3 years ago, and I've been teaching a couple classes each semester, and I love it because teaching is in my blood. So anyway, the first thing that I would like to do is find out how much experience everybody has had with Zoom. So this is also demonstrating to you how you can poll your class. You can build the polls ahead of time. You can build them on the fly depending on what you want to do. So I'd like you to please make a choice there so I can get a sense of what we have. And as you guys are clicking on one of the choices, I'm seeing a screen that tells me how many % are choosing each thing. So this was a poll. I'm using Suzanne's account, so I had her build it ahead of time so I could get a sense of where everybody is. And so I've used polling in my classes. For example, I'm teaching Calculus 2, and we did techniques of integration and covered a lot of things. And then I made a poll that said, when you see this integral, which technique of integration would you try? And I had U substitution, trig sub, integration by parts, anyway, whatever the other ones were. And I had those choices, and it was actually really enlightening for me because sometimes the integral looks so obvious to me what to do. And I'd pull up the integral, then I'd pull up the poll. And if several chose one that wasn't right, then that helped me to see I need to explain why that technique would not be good on this integral. And so it was really helpful. It looks like we've settled in. I got to put on my glasses to see the little numbers. 67% of you have attended but never hosted a Zoom meeting. Okay, so that lets me know that more than half of you need to start from scratch. We have 25% that have hosted a few meetings in Zoom, and we got one person who's teaching using Zoom right now. Does that brave person want to let me know who they are and just real briefly tell me what your experience is, if you've used it a lot or just a little bit, or what, using it now?
Yeah, hi, I'm Shane, and I didn't show myself before because I'm still eating nachos. I'm an adjunct. I'm teaching Math 920, and so I was just glad for the option for Zoom because I wasn't enjoying working with WebEx, and I'm just a Mac guy, so it's just a software issue. Zoom seems cleaner, more modern. So I'm learning almost every week. I learn something new.
Did you start it at the start of the semester, or when did you start?
No, 2 weeks into the semester.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to just kind of get a sense. All right, so I appreciate you guys doing exactly that. I will try and monitor the chat. One of the things I've found is when you have a lot of students and you're running a lot of things, it's hard for me to watch the chat. I'm getting better at watching it, but I encourage my students to just speak up, okay? They can raise their hand and it'll give you a little flash on the screen, so-and-so is raising their hand, and if you're not watching right at the screen at that time, then it goes away. You can see it if you look at the chat. And so I have just taught my students to just say, if you want to answer a question, hold down your space bar, it'll unmute you, talk, let it go, it mutes again. If you want to ask a question, same thing. And that works out a lot better for me. It's still good control in the class, but I just, otherwise, some students don't maybe have their sound on and they'll ask something in the chat. And my other students have learned, if I don't notice it, somebody will say, there's a question in the chat. And the students are hugely helpful with this. And that's how I've learned. Like I said, it was a student on the first day that told me about, I said, now you can unmute by going to your name, and there's a little unmute by it, or down in the bottom. I was telling those things, and they're the ones that told me about the space bar. And they've taught me a lot of other things too. So they're a great resource. I wanted you to see some of the things that Zoom can do. And one of the things that I'm going to do right now is I'm going to hit Alt-S, and let's see, wait, I just need to hit Alt S on the right computer. I need to tell you what I like to do. I have a desktop and I have a laptop, and my laptop's a Surface Book, and so that's what I use to run it. But I like to monitor it on my desktop because I have more than 25 in my class, and it's hard to see everybody and everything, and I just like to run what the students are seeing on my desktop behind me on my monitor there. And so that is one of the things that I'm doing. But so right now, Alt S is a shortcut for sharing your screen. And so I learned some of the shortcuts just because you can just go down and pick share screen at the bottom. If everybody looks down at the bottom of your screen, you'll see a green share screen, and that works as well. But sometimes having those little shortcuts is just a fast way to get there. And one of the things I learned was to have open the things that I wanted to use. And if they're already open in Windows, that in a window, or then shrunk down, when you hit the Alt S, it shows you all of your choices, and you can click on the one that you want. And so it just saves you having to go navigate to whatever it is that you wanted to show them. One of the things that, I just have a slide to show you my background and why I'm teaching and doing this. And my background is I've had some negative experiences with WebEx, and I was begging for Zoom, and I said I'll pay for it myself, and was told we couldn't use it. We had to use what the college used. And then right before the semester started, we got an email from IT that says, okay, you can use Zoom, but you're going to have to turn it on yourself, and you're going to have to this. And I think it was the day before it was. And I just was like, oh, I want to do this, but I don't know much about it. So this is a picture of me figuring out how to do Zoom the day before the semester. I needed to see what students would see. I needed to see what the reaction was. So I kind of just taught myself. I logged in on my desktop, on my laptop, on my iPad, and on my iPhone. So I could have a few students in my class, and I could work at it from all angles. And I just started. So day one of this semester, I used Zoom after having this little practice session. Joe Gallegos saw this picture, and he said, that's you meeting with, it was me, myself, and I. And I said, that's right, because it was my iPad and my iPhone, and then my other stuff. So I'm self-taught as such, but I'm student taught as well, and I've been using it since the semester started, which was my birthday, and it was the best birthday present I could get because it's been so much easier, and there are so many features. If I show you something and you have a question or whatever, please do like my students do. Feel free to hold down your space bar and ask the question or make the comment and then let go. I'm totally fine with that. Since a lot of you have not used it to teach, but you've attended, I just wanted to tell you that you first have to log into your SLCC Zoom account to configure it. And if you haven't done that before, this is how you get there. It's a dash between the SLCC and the EDU, slcc.edu-zoom.us. If you've used US, I guess Zoom says us. I always thought it was US, but they call it us. So if you've used Zoom before in a personal account or in some other way, then that's right at zoom.us. But to get into your SLCC one, this is what you would need to do. And your login is whatever you'd use to log into your email and Canvas and so forth. And it's this password that you use for the college as well. And once you log in there, you can configure your account. And I'm going to show you some of the things you can configure in a little bit. But step one would be to do this if you have not yet done that. And then step two, if you want to have it in Canvas, which you do, because then your students can find it easily, and it's just on your navigation panel in Canvas, you have to do a few things in Canvas. And one of the things that you need to do is you have to go in and set, Canvas is set to use your Bruin email account, and you have to set your primary email account to be your .slcc.edu email account. So you've got to go in to Canvas and change that. And I put the link here, and I'm happy to send out the link after if you haven't seen it. This leads you to what IT sent out the day before the semester started and says, if you want to use it, you got to go configure it in Canvas. And so this is a link to a document that tells you how to go set your primary email, and it has some little screenshots, and you have to go change it from Bruin email for your primary one to your just .slcc.edu email, because that's how Zoom knows you. And after you do that and make that change, then you also have to add Zoom to your navigation bar, and you just do that in Canvas under settings. And again, this document, this link shows you how to do that. So I thought it was a pretty clear document. I used it the day before the semester started and got everything configured, and it worked fine. Essentially what that will have you do is go into your settings and your navigation and drag Zoom. It'll be a choice, but it won't be chosen, and you drag it up and put it wherever you want it on your navigation bar. If you're currently using WebEx and you decide you want to switch to Zoom midstream, I would drag the WebEx out of the way so students can't see that, and then put the Zoom there. And it was just there, and I had sent out a message to all my students, we're going to be meeting in Zoom, go into the Canvas course and click on the Zoom link to get into the course, and they all did, and there was not any issues. One of the things I like to do to use is I like to use PowerPoints, and I'm just going to show you a few of the things that I do. So I will build a PowerPoint. This just came from my differential equations class that I'm teaching. And once I have the PowerPoint up, I can use the annotations within PowerPoint. Down at the bottom left, when you kind of mouse over when you're running a PowerPoint, you get a toolbar. I got to move the Zoom toolbar out of the way so I can get to the other toolbar. So you can see what I just brought up there, because you get a toolbar that has a little pen, and then I'm going to write in blue. But I just am in PowerPoint now, and then I can write on the screen, and I can talk to the students about whatever we are doing, and it makes it easy for them to see, easy for me to use. And I do have a Surface Book, so I can write on my screen, and I can bring up whatever. I just bumped my thing, so I brought up what I didn't want to show yet, but that's fine. So I can work with the students and talk to them about whatever we're doing. I can change colors, I can erase, I can do whatever. And so I like to use some prepared PowerPoints as I'm teaching, and then I could continue solving this, and then I could bring up whatever I had on the slide that might show the solution, how they set up the answers. I could bring up graphs, graphs of the solutions. I could annotate on them as I talk about them, things like that. So I think that PowerPoint makes it an easy way. If you don't have like a Surface Book or something where you can write on the screen, I know a lot of we talked about Wacom tablets. You can plug into the USB, and then you can write and it goes on the screen. And that's what I started with before I was able to get a tablet PC. And it took a little eye-hand coordination, but I got onto it pretty quick. And it's a great way to be able to write on the screen as well if you don't have a tablet or a way to do that. So that's one of the things that I like to use in class. And I just wanted to point out a few of the other options as well. One of the things when you click to share is you can share a Zoom whiteboard. And the Zoom whiteboard is easy to use. I'm just bringing it up now so you can see it. And along the top, you don't see my controls, but I have controls where I can write whatever I want to write. And if I wanted to change colors for something for emphasis or whatever, you can do that easily. You can erase, you can add text, you can do a lot of different things with the whiteboard. And in fact, if you want to, students can even write on the whiteboard. Anybody got a tablet or way to write that wants to write something on the whiteboard? I believe you can. I'm on my desktop as well. And on my desktop, I don't have, let's see. Actually, let me just look. If I wanted to write, there's a pull down at the top that says view options, and I have to pick annotate. Now I'm going to try and make a smiley face. This is with my mouse. Okay, so not quite so good. But if you go, there we go. Thank you, Suzanne. So students can annotate as well. So you can bring up a whiteboard and have students contribute if you'd like. And so that's been cool. I'd like to have a chance to do that. I'm glad to see some of you experimenting a little bit. So like I said, right up at, if you mouse over and get at the top, then it typically will give you an options and you can choose annotate, and then you've got the same choice as I do as far as colors and things to write and so forth. So I'm glad to see some of you playing around, and you do smiley faces as good as I do with the mouse, but it's very doable. Thank you. So that's a cool way because anybody can share. So if you want to bring something up and ask a student to write down the next step or draw you a little graph of something or whatever. So Jenny, was that with your mouse? It looks pretty good. So, all right.
Sorry, I didn't figure it out how you guys wrote on the screen.
Okay, go up to the top of the screen and you should see a little, let me exit mine so I can see it. It says you're viewing Shauna Hyder's screen, and then there's a view options, and you can click on it and it'll pull down, and one of the choices will say annotate. And then once you picked annotate, you'll get the little choice of colors and different things. And if you've got a way to write on your screen, you can just use your pen. If you're not, you can drag your mouse. Hold down your mouse button as there. Nice. Okay. Thank you for doing exactly what I want you guys to do. Just hold down your space bar and ask me a question if you have it. So there's more playing around now. So that helped more people. Thank you.
Sorry, I have a question. Do you ever have students write when you don't want them to?
I haven't. I teach 1220 and 2250, and so they're a little more mature maybe, and I have found them all to be extremely helpful, and I have not had an issue with a student doing something I don't want. I'm not saying the potential isn't there, but I haven't had a problem with it at all. I haven't really made any rules. I just, when I ask them to do something, they do it. And if I don't want them to do something, they don't do it. So I haven't had a problem, but the potential is there if you had somebody being silly, I guess. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I am going to, I could just hit clear, and then it gives me a clean slate. If I want to, you know, go on and do something else, you can also, if you wanted to leave it, you can add something else. And Zoom automatically does record and save the whiteboards. If you want it, you've got it after. You don't have to, but you have got it there if you want it there. One of the other things that's cool is, I'm going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to share with you something else and show you what else is cool. Okay, so I'm now going to share with you something in Desmos. So I'm now online in Desmos, and as I am running this, I can annotate on anything that's on my screen. So if I wanted to explain something about this graph and we're talking about it as I talk, you can see that I can annotate, I can point out things, I can write on anything that is on my computer. Okay, so if I'm sharing a screen, then there is an annotate button on my toolbar, and when I choose it, then I can write anything. So the possibilities are endless. If you can display it and share your screen, you can write on it and annotate it. So that makes it really cool. And having said that, then, I asked Megan if she would help me with something. Megan, do you have that ready to go? You have a share screen at the bottom, and you can click that and share your screen with me. I asked Megan to get something like, say she was a student and she'd written up something and had a question about it. So is that?
One second.
Okay, so I didn't warn her when I was going to do it or what, but I asked her because if you have, and you have control over this, you can put students can't share their screen. Thank you for doing that. So she shared this for their screen. I have it open because, like I said, my students have been wonderful, and I let them do things because it's really helpful. And this was actually taught to me by a student in one of my homework help sessions because I was trying to help him with something, and I have it on the whiteboard, but he had some other work and he wanted me to see it. So he shared his screen, and I started talking to him, and he says, well, you can write on my screen. And I'm like, oh, I can? And so That's something that right now Megan is doing, but I can click annotate, and I got it the same place as we got it when you guys wrote on the whiteboard that I shared. There was a view options, and I clicked annotate. So, okay, the link to share with students for class. I'm just answering a question that came in with the chat, and I should have looked at all the chat because there's several things I told you I'm not good about monitoring that. So hang on for Megan's for a minute, and I'm going to catch up on the chat because I should have been watching it. So there's some good things in the chat that people have been sharing with us. So I would recommend looking at, because they're talking about OneNote. I've experimented with OneNote too, and it's a good program. Let's see. And then you're saying Word docs and OneNote, all those are good. And so the link to share with students for class, if you put it in Canvas, like is in that document that had the link there, and like I said, I'm happy to send the link out to everybody after. But then they just go click on Zoom in Canvas and then click on the class and it launches it. So they don't need to have a separate link in an email. It's embedded in Canvas, and I can show you that in just a minute if you want to see that. So let me finish with what we have here. So let's say Megan was asking me this question and she subtracted 3 from both sides, and then she made the typical mistake, which is she divided by a negative but didn't think about needing to turn the inequality sign. And so I'm the one in green. Okay, so I can go in and I can point things out to her. I could, talk about something over here if I wanted to. I'm just not thinking of anything at the moment as far as, but I could explain something, I could write something, then she could go change it and fix it and so forth. So I think that's pretty cool if a student wants to share and you want to annotate. And I have homework help sessions every week for my classes, and I use this a lot with that. Students know that if they're stuck with something, they can drop into the homework help session and they can share their work with me on something they're working on, and we'll go through it together and I can write and do. And somebody else did a little scribble, because I do have it turned on that anybody could annotate or share if they wanted to. So I just wanted to see that. And thank you, Megan, for being willing to do that. I just wanted to demo how easy that is to do. Now she stopped sharing, and that's cool. Oh, Megan, I do want you to share that one more time. I don't know, I didn't talk to you about this and I wanted to, so here's a good time to do that. So having her share one more time. There's some different views that you can set up, but one of the problems I found, so there's like a speaker view and a gallery view, and I'm going to talk to you about those in just a sec. But I found in class when a student was sharing something with me, and it probably wasn't share screen, because I think share screen locks on that. So I guess this wouldn't be an issue here. But one of the things I found was I have students hold up whiteboards where they've drawn graphs or they've written problems on it, and they'd start to explain it. And whenever I would make comments on it, then it would go back and show me large, and I wanted it to be them. And so one of the things that I learned from a student is if you want to highlight one person's screen, you can, there's some little dots in their little box in the upper right, and one of the choices is spotlight video. So if a student was holding up their whiteboard and we're talking about what they'd written on their whiteboard, I can hit spotlight video and it'll stay big on them even when I talk. And then when we're done, I just pick stop spotlighting and it goes back away. And so that was helpful. I realized when you're sharing screen, it will stay big. Okay, so I'll let you quit sharing again. It was only when we were just looking in general like this. Some of you, most of you are probably familiar with this, but I meant to mention this right at the first. Up in your upper right-hand corner, I believe, I think that's on most of them, there's a speaker view and there's a gallery view. And the speaker view is whoever's talking, it will make them big. And the gallery view just lets you see everybody. in a gallery. And if you have more than will fit on your screen, you can get 25 on your screen at a time. There's a setting that you can do it up to 49. A student told me about that, but when I go to pick it, my laptop says I can't handle that with my processor. So I have to scroll between screens if I want to see everybody. And page up and page down will jump to go back and forth. We don't have anybody hidden behind here now because we've got, 2 blank squares at the bottom. But if you have more than 25, it just goes on to a second page that's behind the first page. And so if you hit page up or page down, it'll show you the hidden people. And I use that because I've been proctoring tests with Zoom, and that's when I use that, so I can watch everybody and kind of see all of the things. Okay, let me just see okay, the next thing I wanted to show you some of those things that you could do while teaching. And the next thing I wanted to show you, because a lot of you are new at this, is I wanted to show you the settings. And I'm hoping, since I'm in Suzanne's and I want to go into my settings, that it's going to let me. So I'm going to find out right now. Okay, so, all right, let's see. And maybe, I'm not sure. I was just looking.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, go ahead, Leah.
I tried the space bar, it didn't work. Hi, it's Leah. So Megan asked, when a student is sharing, do they have to stop sharing when they're done? I have the same question because it felt like when the student was sharing, I couldn't get it back.
Oh, you can. There's one of the settings is you can stop it. So it's one of the things you can set up. And so I could have gone to a new share and it would have gone over the top of hers, meaning it would have gotten rid of hers. And that's in a setting as well. Okay, so I want to try and get a setting here. I want to try and get to my Zoom settings, and I was a little worried about how that was going to work. Oh, I think I can do it though. That's what I wasn't sure, if I could go in and do it when I'm running a Zoom thing, but I think I can since we're in Suzanne's. Okay, no, that's not the one I want to show you. Hang on here. Okay, I have it up. Now let me hope, I'm hoping it'll let me share it with you. Let's see. I am not seeing it here. I was hoping it would let me do that because I'm not in hers. I really want to show you where you set up stuff. So let me see. I'm seeing the screen, but I'm not seeing it as a choice to share in Zoom. So I'm going to try one more time. I think I got it. No, that's my Desmos. That's not what I wanted to do. Huh. Okay, so I can see the little windows of things I can share, and for some reason Zoom ought to let me show Zoom. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, I'm gonna try and close my other stuff and see if maybe then I can get it to show up, because it shows that that's gonna be what it shows me, but then it doesn't do it.
Shana, try and share your entire desktop.
Okay, let me just. It keeps jumping to things that I don't pick. That's what I don't understand. I've never tried to share the Zoom window itself, which is what I'm trying to do. Okay, so so Suzanne, you're sharing?
So I'm sharing my settings. So what I did was I went to I shared my whole desktop and then went into settings.
Okay, so that's maybe what I need to do.
Can you see my settings right now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, that's what you need to do. Share your whole desktop. Okay. And then go into settings.
Guess what? I guess I've never done that. I've always just shared a window. So you can teach me how to share your entire desktop.
It's the first one on the first one that comes up. It's that screen. It just says screen.
Okay, let me just get there then. All right. Okay. It just says screen. Okay, I've clicked on that before and it goes to my PowerPoint. I don't know why, but let me, and it goes to my PowerPoint, yet it shows me my settings. So that I'll close the PowerPoint and let's see if that will do the trick. Okay, I'm gonna stop the PowerPoint and so I'm gonna see if maybe that does it, because that's what I was trying, and it still jumped to the PowerPoint even though I picked screen. Okay, let's see. No, see, I don't even have my calendar open. I don't understand why it's doing that. We might have to use yours, Suzanne. Let me see.
Do you have more than one screen?
Not on my laptop, but no, I just have one, but I just maybe need to close out everything else because for some reason it is not going to what I'm seeing, and I've never had that happen. Okay, so let me just see if, okay. Darn, this is one thing I haven't tried because I didn't know how to try it ahead of time, but okay, so share screen, share my screen. Now, see, now it's showing my desktop, but actually maybe that's what I need to do now, and now open my Zoom window again. See, I open it and it's on mine, but it's not showing you guys. That is strange. Okay, maybe Suzanne, I'll see it. It's right.
Yeah, walk me through it and I'll show mine.
Okay, well, you were just on it, right? So if you want to go back to showing that again, then I can just kind of have you scroll. I just wanted to point out a few things.
Okay, I'm going to go to it.
And when you're the controller, I was worried about that. Maybe because I launched the Zoom, I don't know. But okay, so so Suzanne is in her Zoom settings, and you would get there if you went to the slcc.edu .zoom.us, then, and you logged in, then you would have these options. And then if you have the Zoom app and you have a Zoom icon, if you click on it, then you will get this as well. So it's got all of the different things that you can set. And one of the things to realize about Zoom is a lot of things are not turned on unless you turn them on. Okay, Suzanne, I want you to go click on, let's see, oh, you're in settings. Let's see, I wanted them on the meeting. I don't see meeting in your list. Click view more settings. Okay.
Oh, where is that?
Very bottom in the middle. No, clear down in the center. Go to the center of your window and then down at the bottom.
Ah.
Okay, this is what I wanted to see. Okay, so we're in settings and meeting now, and I just don't have time to go through every single thing here, but I want you to be aware of what is here, because when I first opened Zoom, I knew I wanted to do polling. I knew I wanted to do breakout rooms. There was a few things I knew I wanted to do, and you have to turn them on right here. So when you log in, if you go under settings, these are things you can set about your meeting. If you want a waiting room so that nobody can enter your Zoom until you tell them you can turn on waiting room. I don't like that. I have it set so students can join before me. And I just feel like sometimes that's the gathering before class talking to each other time. And so I'll have some students that join 10 minutes early and they're just talking to other students in the class like they walked in the classroom 10 minutes early. And so I let them join. If you set everybody into the waiting room, you could do that, and they can't get in and they can't talk to each other until you go let them in. So I don't turn on waiting room, but you can. And then I'm going to have you scroll down. Some of this the college has set to require a passcode. Let me just talk about that for a sec. It says require a passcode, and the college has locked that. You can't pick that because that's for security. But if they log in through Canvas, they don't have to type in a passcode. It just puts it in there for them automatically. but there's a lot of different things to set. I'm going to have you scroll down some more, Suzanne. Thank you for doing this. So right there is where it says join before host, and that's what I turn on for my classes, because I feel like sometimes that's valuable time for the students to interact. A lot of these others, yeah, it's up to you, but if you have that, then if you're not in there, they can get in there early. And like I said, I don't think that's a bad thing. Sometimes they're talking about a study group or a question that bothered them and stuff like that. Notice the mute participants on entry. I always have that on because it just too much background noise without that. So I typically have that on. By the way, if you're in there and there's a lot of noise and not everybody's muted, if you do Alt-M, that's command something for a Mac, very similar, but Alt-M mutes everybody. So, or Alt-M will unmute everybody, just so you know. The chat is typically already turned on, but you might want to check that and then keep scrolling. There's a few other things I wanted to show. Okay, right about in the middle of the screen now is the polling. That's typically not turned on. If you want to be able to ask poll questions, you'd want to turn that one on. A lot of these, there's defaults that are set. See down there, right, stop kind of towards the top now, the screen sharing. So that is where you can set, and see this screen sharing, down one more. Yeah, right there. So it's turned on and it says all participants, and then it says who can start sharing when someone else is sharing, and host only. And see, that's where if somebody else is sharing, I can go on and it goes over the top of them, is what I said. I don't know, it lets me take control back again if you choose that. But I do like to have all participants share, because my students have done some great things being able to share with each other. So you do have control to do that or not. Notice the annotation, and Suzanne has it turned on, and I would have it turned on just because, again, I feel like that's a good way to get interaction, but you can have control over that. If you find that your class is out of control with annotation, you could turn it off so that they couldn't do that. The whiteboard, I think by default was turned on, but you'd want to make sure. And then there's a few other things in here. So the main thing I guess I want you to realize is if you go in and click on settings, you're going to have this big long choice, and you can go through it and choose the things you want and set the things that you don't want and so forth. Now keep going. Somewhere here it talks about recording as well, and I don't know where that is in the list. This is the virtual backgrounds. Let me just mention something about the virtual backgrounds. At first I thought that was cool, but I don't like it. It uses a ton of bandwidth. It'll put something behind you so they can't see if you have a messy room or something else going on. But unless you have a green screen, it looks terrible and it's very distracting in my opinion. Like if you move your arm fast, it just does it chopped off funny, and it uses a lot of bandwidth on your computer. So I don't mess with them, but just letting you know. Okay, some more. Just look at all these options, and that when you have time, you may want to go through and read them all so you can configure it how you want, including how it notifies you of things. Yeah, so, and then, so she's changing a setting there. Okay, and keep going. Somewhere here it talks about recording. And like I said, you'll want to read through these so you can kind of personalize it to what you want. But somewhere in the list, where was it?
I think recording is in a different.
When you schedule it.
No, I think it's right here.
Right there. Well, but that would be you're right. Okay. So you can set up here to, if you want to record, and then when you schedule a meeting, you can decide if you want it to automatically record or not. So here's some of the recording options, but what I was going to say about that is, like my classes, I have them set up, I scheduled one class and then did recurring. So my classes for the whole semester are set, and one of the options is to automatically record it. And so I just do that, and then I don't have to worry about it. And it tells me recording up in the top left-hand corner of the screen, but it just does it for me. My homework help sessions, I don't record them. So when I made the meeting, I didn't click record. And if there's something I wanted to record, I could. But the nice thing is, if you need your classes recorded, you just set it up once, and you say, do this every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 a.m. for this class, and it will just do it for you. So it's pretty foolproof. And so Shane, you asked a question, and when you record a session, it saves the chat window and messages and students. And I'm not aware if anybody knows if you can make it anonymous, let me know. One of the things I've done, the recordings are just in Canvas, and so they're not available to anybody outside of the class, and if they were attending class, they'd see them, and so I guess I haven't worried about it. That reminds me of something else I was going to tell you that I do. I started by calling the roll and marking it in Canvas, and it just took so long. I just have the students, I say, okay, everybody tell me you're here, and they all type here in the chat. And then when I'm done with the session, it saves the chat. You can open a little window of just the chat, and then I just go through and mark them in Canvas. It just saved me class time trying to take attendance. And so I use the attendance thing in Canvas, but I just mark it right after class by opening the chat window, and everybody that said here, I can mark it there. So that was kind of a nice other thing that I did. So I'm gonna see if I can still steal from you the sharing. Yep, see, I just said I wanted to share, and so it does go over the top of a student. If they were in the middle of sharing, they didn't have to stop. I just stole it from Suzanne. So that does work. And I just wanted to show you a couple other things. Let me just get down to what I wanted to show you. A couple other things that I've kind of learned this semester as I've been doing these classes. So if you didn't see that, I think you did because I got everybody writing, but if you wanted to annotate on any screen that you see, it's that view options there. And once you get to the view options, then you just simply go pick the annotate there. And that's just, I just wanted to, in case you hadn't seen where we got that, wanted to show that. Okay, the next thing I wanted to show you, oh, I was going to also show you ways I get students to communicate. So sharing their screen is one, but one of the things I've done this semester is I had some whiteboard students could check out, and I said, if you want to go check it out, if not, get yourself a whiteboard. And you can see I got a variety of whiteboards. A lot of students didn't go check them out. They just got something that they could use. But as I assign them things, I will send them into breakout rooms and have them work together. And I have, say, somebody with a whiteboard be the scribe, and they talk with each other and they work on these things. And then you see how they share. They just hold it up to the camera, and then I click in the right-hand corner at the top of their screen, there's 3 dots, and I click Spotlight Video, and it shows theirs big for everybody. And then we can talk about what their group did and the problem and so forth. And so that's worked out really well. It's a real low-tech way for them to be able to communicate math and share with the class easily. And it's, I said, I just hear some variety. The one at the bottom left, this student actually has a tablet. So he worked on his tablet and then just held it up to the screen. The other 2 had whiteboards, and you can see them in the background, kind of, they're holding them up. But a very fast, effective way for them to get math and share with each other in breakout groups, and also share with the whole class. So wanted to share that idea. And I should, if you're like me, it's hard to monitor the chat and run the class, and then I look over and notice. So I'm glad you guys are helping each other out in the chat too. So that's cool. I did want to also share with you that and these are not my students, this was from somebody that gave me this idea, but I do proctor my own tests, and this is how I do it. I have told my students they're required to have a camera for test days, and I need to be able to see their head and their hands, and they set them up. And I just did a test yesterday again. So I've done 1 test in each of my 2 classes, and then the second test in my Calculus 2 class was yesterday. And the students are great. And I'm grading the test today, and based on the test grades, they're not cheating. So I think this helps. I mean, I'm not saying somebody still couldn't cheat, but I've just done my own proctoring on my own test day using Zoom, and the students, I told them about it from the first day of the semester, and they've all been great with it, and it's worked out really well. So just an idea, because it seems like when you're remote teaching, none of the options are very good, and so you kind of decide which is the best of the choices you have. And like I said, I felt like that one's worked out pretty well. Just real quickly, because I had a couple people ask about it, and so I was going to share what I have done with testing this semester, and I'm happier with it than some of the things I tried in the spring. Although it may not be perfect. I have them sign an honesty clause, just, you know, hope they'll, and I do it in 2 30-minute segments. And I got some ideas from an instructor from another institution that was doing it, and they figure in the 30 minutes it gives them, I guess, less time to cheat. They don't have enough time to do whatever. And so I thought, oh, I'll split it up like that too. And it's kind of nice for the students, I think, because it seems a little more intense this way, and it kind of splits it up. I give them a quiz in Canvas, and the cool thing about the in Canvas quiz, it's not, the only thing I use is to deliver it in Canvas. I don't build it in Canvas because that doesn't do well with math, particularly at the levels I'm teaching. I'll show you what it looks like in a minute. But basically, they open a Canvas quiz, and it opens the questions. They write, they don't download or do anything there. They just write on their paper and number it. And they can just see their screen, and they can work the problems, and they submit it at the end of 30 minutes, and then we have a short break, and then they work on another half of it in the same way. And so it looks like, here's an example of one of them that I just did in calculus. So they see this much, they work those problems. Oops, this was one I had to fix it. I had it numbered wrong because I decided to make one A and B, and then I didn't change 4, but I did before I gave it to them. I built this slide before that. But anyway, so they just work those, and then notice my question 1 at the bottom, upload part 1 of your test here. So they do it in Canvas. And the nice thing about that, if they upload something, build in a Canvas quiz, it puts their names on it. It puts it all in alphabetical order. It doesn't matter what they called their file name. I can just download the whole batch from the class that's in alphabetical order, last name, first name, and grade it easily. So that's actually worked out really nicely, considering. A few other things that I wanted to mention, and then I just wanted to also kind of open it up at the very end. I'm going to try and allow some time at the end for questions and for sharing, because I know some of the others have other experiences. A lot of, let's see, how do students access the recordings, Dina? I just saw that. You don't have to share the link with them. If you've got it in Canvas, and they just go into Canvas and they just click on recordings and they watch it there. So you don't have to do anything other than make sure you tell it to record. And like I said, what I do is I go into Canvas and I schedule my class, and I just have it replicate. So I just scheduled each class once and said every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 a.m. until December, whatever was the last day. That was the 10th, I think. And it just, they go access it there to get in, and they go access the recordings there. The recordings just show up there under the Zoom link in Canvas for the students. So yeah, makes it really nice. And I set them, I think they have it default to record in the cloud. I think the college set that one up. And so it just records in the cloud, shows up under their Zoom link in Canvas, so they can go watch it later. For some reason they had to miss class, it's there. I would just finally notice, I'm trying to notice the chat. I'm really bad at monitoring the chat and running this, but I'm getting a little better at it. That's one of my probably biggest challenges. Okay, I did want to just talk to you for a minute about some of the keyboard shortcuts as well. just because sometimes it's nice to know there are some default keyboard shortcuts. And then Zoom has it so if you want to get in that deeply, you can go in and set your own keyboard shortcuts as well. But it's nice to know some of these, so I just shared with you the ones that I found were useful. And so if you do Alt-A, think of A for audio, it'll toggle between mute or unmute. And Alt-M mutes everybody except the host. So if there's a background noise and some people aren't muted, if you do Alt-M, it'll mute everybody. And then I'm using Alt-S when I want to share a screen with you because I just found that was easier. There's a share screen, new share at the bottom and stuff, but I kind of get used to some keyboard shortcuts. And so these are just a few of those that I just wanted to share with you that you may find useful. And somebody else might know some more. These are the ones I guess that I have found and that I found were useful for things that I wanted to do. And I just kind of wanted to give a few minutes to see if anybody had any couple of things, questions off from anything. I just wanted to, in a nutshell, try and cover the main things that I've kind of learned and found and have worked well for me. And I'm open to anybody else sharing anything they have, or if there's questions you have about it that you'd like an answer to, here's a chance for anybody. You can actually hold down your space bar and talk if you'd like. I'm trying to look in the chat again.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Elizabeth.
With as far as the attendance goes, what I usually do with WebEx is when I have them working on a problem, that's when I go and look at the participants and I take my attendance that way. Can you still do that with this as well? You can see everybody there, I thought you said earlier.
Yes, yes. So that would be early. There's a participant window here and I see there's 18 participants and I can, you know, if it's shrunk down, I can click on it and pull it, open it up. And yes, you could do that. So that's another way. And you could do it right then in class if you've got time. You could also do it after the fact if you wanted to, you know, like I'm just saying in the recording or something. That's why I just have them type here in the chat because I can open just the chat after and it's just a you know, a page that shows me what was in the chat, and then I just go mark them then, just because while I'm doing class, I just didn't feel like I had time. But yeah, so that would work, though the way you're doing it would work very easily in Zoom. Other questions or comments or things people want to share?
This is Dina. I had a question.
Okay.
I was in Faculty Senate on Monday, and 40 minutes into the meeting, Zoom bumped us out. I know that that's the limit for the free accounts. How do you make sure that you're in your college account and not a personal account to avoid that from happening? Does anybody know?
So if you go into this slcc-edu.zoom.us, you're in you're in a college account. Okay, so apparently somebody set up, and if you have more than 5 people and you go over 40 minutes, it's not free if you're in just, like you said, a private account. But I have like a personal account I've used for other things, but if I launch anything from A, from Canvas because it's my class, or B, from slcc-edu.zoom.us, it is the college account. So I guess whoever opened it must have been in their personal account, not college account would be my guess. And it does throw you out after 40 minutes. You can start another meeting, but you kind of lose everybody along the way. So I guess I would just say make sure and schedule and launch the meeting from that slcc-edu, and you won't have a problem.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't time you out. I have the block 2-hour classes. I think that's a long time for me to sit at the computer and a long time for students to sit at a computer, but it's doable. Anybody else? Let's see, I was just looking at the comment. Okay. So Shane, I was trying to understand your question. Do you have a mic? I was going to let you.
I love how you said you're assessing your kids into two different parts for the exam. And so, they take it for 30 minutes, they have a break, and they upload. Do you expect them to upload right then? And
Yeah.
and how's the easiest way that they do it? Because I've gotten Canvas submissions and it's like 8 pictures.
Okay.
And I've also got Canvas submissions where it's just one long page. I prefer the long page.
Okay, I tell my students right in my orientation at the first, I will only accept PDFs and I will only accept one document. And I share with them some different free PDFs, phone to PDF scanners. And most of them use CamScan because that's the one I'm familiar with, and that's one I kind of talk about when I do my orientation at the first of class. But I will only accept them as one file and a PDF, and the students know that. And they've been told that from the start. That's how they turn in their homework as well. And so by the time the test rolls around, they are used to that. And before my first test, I send out a little announcement with, make sure you can do these things before the test. And one of them is, you have a way to scan it and submit it as one document PDF, which they should have been doing with their homework along the way anyway. But so I haven't had any problem with that. And the nice thing is when they do that, and like I said, they submit it, it's just all alphabetical order by their name. They're all PDFs, one file, then I can open them with my PDF annotator and grade them easily. So if you set that expectation up at the first, with, like I said, I had links in it. I'm happy to share them if you're interested. I had actually a colleague from Michigan that built a nice how to use Cam Scanner and get one PDF, and she has screenshots and details to them. And I just posted all those in Canvas, and at the first told them you need to get something figured out how you're going to do it and try it. And then by test time, they are all used to it. So made it pretty easy. I'm happy to share those documents with anybody if you want. Somebody did all the work and it's really easy for a student to follow. If you wanted to share with them how to use an app on their phone to get one PDF to submit. And I have them submit it right after in the same quiz. So they open a quiz and there's 2 parts to the quiz. And the first part, as I showed you, actually I can bring it back right here. Let's see. So the first part just displays the test there, but if you notice right down below, I added a quiz question that just says upload a file. So upload part 1 of your test here. And so they stop when the time's up and they scan and they submit it right there. And this will time out. And so they have to do it right then.
Thank you.
Anybody?
Shauna, Piotr asked if there's a way to export the participants to a CSV file.
I bet there is. I haven't looked into that, but I have no doubt that there is, because when you leave, just a minute, I was trying to do 2 things at once, but when you leave, I'm going to stop sharing for a minute here. When you leave, in my Zoom folder, it puts the chat, and there is something about participants. I'll have to go check, and I'm happy to do a follow-up and let people know that if you're interested, but I bet there is. There might be a way to do that and make it easier than even what I'm doing, because then you could just, yeah, that would be an easy way to keep attendance. Thanks for asking that. I never thought to even look at that.
Maybe you can give that to me as your Zoom tip of the week, and then everybody will read my newsletter.
Sounds like a plan to me. Okay. Okay. So, Dina, they wanted some CamScan info. Okay. So how's the best? Do you have a list of participants, Suzanne, that I could just email everybody any of these things that people are interested in?
I know who's here.
I will go find out if I have a list of participants.
That's right. Or you can also send me that information as your tip, and we can add it to the weekly email. So that would be.
What I will do is do that as my tip, and I'll have some links to some Google Docs that have those various files. So have those students how to use Cam Scanner and so forth. Go ahead, Megan.
Sorry, if you go into your recordings in your classroom, you can get a list of the students that attended. by clicking on previous meetings, and then you click on report and it tells you everybody that was there.
Okay, in Zoom, in Canvas then, is that what you're doing?
In Canvas under the Zoom thing on the left side.
Okay, let's just really quickly, I'm gonna go to my Canvas class and let's see. Let me just log in here and then I will share my screen with you and I think that's worth if people haven't used this before to know. And if you are not using Zoom, my challenge to you is to switch over. You can do it. And if somebody wants to practice, I'm happy to be a student for you to practice if you just email me and let me know, because that's how you learn. And I think you will like it better than WebEx instantly. Not trying to badmouth WebEx, it was good in its day, but so I'm just now going to log into my Canvas, and I just had to verify, so it's being a little bit slow. So let's go into Canvas, and I'll go into one of my classes, and let's at least kind of show you some of the things that you can see or do. So basically, I went in with the instructions that the IT department sent out and went ahead and it put my Zoom link here, and I got rid of my WebEx link. So students just go to the course and they just click on Zoom. And this is what you can do as well to schedule your classes. And so once you've turned it on in your navigation panel, you can click on it. Notice when I go in here, you can see that I've scheduled, I just went and scheduled Math 2250, and I put the time, and then I just put recur every Tuesday and Thursday till December 10th. And I did the same thing with my homework help sessions, and I did the same thing with my other class. And so they're just here, ready to go. And then when I'm ready to start teaching, I can just click start, or I don't even have to go into Canvas. I can go into my Zoom. I have a little shortcut Zoom icon, and I can just go in there and launch the meeting as well. So it's easy to do the scheduling. And so right here, as you look, one of the tabs is cloud recordings. And this is where if you've set it to record, they'll show up here. And they always show up here, which I can't say was true about all my WebEx recordings. And they're pretty fast. And so you're telling me somewhere here I can access it? Is that what you were saying? I'm just trying to see, because people
click on previous meetings.
Okay. So not in the recordings, but in the meeting. See, that's report. Awesome. So I could click on report. Oh, and there's everybody. Okay, that's cool. And if you did polls, it looks like, see, I learned that as well. It looks like if you did polls, you can see the results of your polls. Thank you. This is exactly how I learned stuff.
And it has an export to CSV right there.
Oh.
It has an export. If you go back in.
Hey, we've answered the question.
Meeting report, right under meeting report, it says export right there under.
Yeah. There we go. Awesome. It just exported it. Okay. I don't have to go do this by hand anymore. But how you guys are sharing, that's exactly, I would be in class and students are amazing. Like I said, they told me, well, just hold down the space bar and it unmutes. And then the student I was helping on the homework help says, well, you can write on my screen. I'm like, I can. So that's how we learn things. I haven't had any, I did attend the one Zoom official training, and it was too general because they were trying to do it to 200 people that was staff and faculty. And so anyway, the way I learned is I just started using it, and it's been really easy. Cool. See, thank you. It was worth my time doing this. I always learn something new myself. Anybody else, any questions or anything else that people are wondering about? Or comments to share something that's been successful for you?
Shauna, can you just quickly show how you do a breakout room?
Oh, I meant to do that. Thank you. Yes, I will do that. Let me stop sharing here. I wanted to do you guys in breakout rooms, and it was on my list, and so I forgot, and so I'm glad you said that. Okay, I want you to experience them, so I'm going to send you to a breakout room and you can tell everybody hi, and then I'm going to have you come back and just share a few other things about it. So along my Zoom toolbar, everybody sees your Zoom toolbar at the bottom that says share screen and chat and so forth. One of my choices is breakout rooms. And so I click on it and it says we got 17 participants and I can divide them into however many rooms I want. And you can pre-do this before class if you want to control who's in what group. I just let it randomly do it, and it seems pretty random and students don't always end up with the same people and so forth. So I just let it do it. I just think that we'll just go with the random. Okay, so I'm going to make 6 breakout rooms. And so it's telling me there will be, well, let's go with 5 breakout rooms. There's going to be 3 or 4 people in your breakout room. And I don't know if you'll be muted or not when you get there, so you may want to unmute, say hi to the people in your room, and then I'll show you how I bring you back. So here we go. I'm going to pick create rooms. It's going to have a pop-up that asks you to join your room.
How are you?
Good. I haven't seen you in a while.
I in on you because I want you to look over and notice down on your bottom toolbar somewhere there, it'll say ask for help or something like that.
Okay.
So students can do that, and then I can come into their room and talk to them when they do that. And I just want you to be able to see that. I'm leaving and working my way around, but I just wanted you to see that. Okay, let's see. Now I got to remember, oh yeah, leave room. Okay, I should have known that. That's one thing I learned and my students helped me with. If you go into breakout rooms, and if I go into a breakout room, when I come back, I'm automatically muted. I'm not sure why. And so that happened the first time I did breakout rooms. So I came back and I was talking and then they tell me I'm muted. So the second day I do breakout rooms, a cute little student types in the chat, remember when we come back, you'll be muted. They're just really helpful. But we don't have a lot of time, so I didn't give you very much time in there, but I wanted you to experience them. I didn't go to all the rooms because I didn't have time, but I get a list of the room numbers and who's in what room, and I can click join and I can go in there and talk to them, and then I can leave, click leave, and then I can go to another room. And they have an option at the bottom when they're in the breakout room to ask for help, and students will do that. I'll get a little pop-up, breakout room 3 as asking for help, and then I can click there and it takes me into room 3 and I can answer their questions. So they worked pretty slick. All I did was say I wanted 5 breakout rooms and then clicked open rooms. And then you guys got a little message to go join the room. I don't know if you saw my little broadcast. I wish you could share files to rooms. As far as I'm aware, there's not a way, and I've done some research on that to like send different things to the rooms, but I can send a broadcast message, and I typed a little message to you guys and it should have popped up just small on your screen somewhere. Maybe you noticed it and maybe you didn't, but I can send something to everybody. When I click close rooms, it gives them a 1-minute warning. Your room's going to close or whatever you saw there. And then at the end of that 1 minute, you're back here with me, whether you liked it or not. It'll bring everybody back. So I'm glad that you asked that because it was on my list to do that. And I had forgotten to do that. And that was something I wanted to show. You have to enable breakout rooms. It won't be on by default, but once you go into those settings that we looked at, Suzanne's settings, and you click breakout rooms, then they're ready to go and it's on your toolbar and you just click breakout rooms and it'll tell you how many students are there and ask you how many rooms you want. So really easy to use and get students talking to each other. Any other questions or comments?
So Aaliyah said it's really hard to pre-assign, or I can't find an easy way.
I haven't tried it. Go ahead.
I was in a meeting where they asked everybody to rename themselves. And so you can have them rename themselves as like 1, 2, 3, 4, or if you want like problem 1, problem 2, problem 3, or something like that. And then when it shows up in your list and you alphabetize or whatever, they'll show up in alphabetical order and you can just grab them a few at a time and put them into rooms.
Okay. And I had heard that too. I've been a little hesitant to let them rename themselves. I just didn't want them posing as somebody else or something. So that's a choice in your settings. Let them rename themselves. And I don't let them, but I've heard of that same thing. If you let them be a number or a color or something, and then that can help you divide into the groups. I guess I just didn't want, I don't know. So I haven't let them rename, but that's an idea, like you said, so you could do that. Now, there is a way to, have you tried, Aaliyah, before class doing the pre-assign? I was just reading your chat, Aaliyah. So I just know when I was looking at some of the Zoom materials, when I was trying to learn some things about breakout rooms, you know, it did say you could go in and pre-assign, but I guess, Aaliyah, you're saying you can, but it's really hard. Okay. I just randomly let them, but if you want them to work in the same group all of the time, then that's something else that, yeah, we could think about doing. But okay, Shane, to see each other in our breakout room, did we need to hit our own? Yes, if your video's turned off, then you won't see each other. And I've tried to get my students, when they get into the breakout rooms, to click their videos on, because I want them interacting with each other, and I have them sharing a whiteboard, and one of them's a scribe, and others are talking with them and they write on it. And so they're used to now, as soon as they get in the rooms, they turn their videos on, and then they come back to class, and then usually they're not on until I say, okay, group 1, and then whoever was the scribe then turns their video on and holds up their whiteboard so we can see it. So that's actually worked out really well. Any other questions, comments? We're pretty close to our ending time, and I am aware of there might be something that some people want to watch at 7 o'clock, so but I'm happy to answer any other questions or take any other comments before we end up.
Just a quick question, Shauna, have you had any luck showing videos to your students through Zoom?
Yes,
they don't come across jerky or anything?
Nope. I just share my screen and launch the video, and I haven't had any problem. There's a couple settings about videos and something to do with the speed or something in the Zoom settings, so you might want to go look at things there. But I have some little short scenarios that I made of real life situations with calculus, and they're 2 or couple minute videos that introduce different things, like give a scenario where they might use it in their job, and I use those all the time in class, and they're on YouTube, and I just go launch it and share that screen and run it, and I haven't had any problems with it. So
okay, great. WebEx doesn't do a very good job of that, so that's just good to know. Thank you.
Other questions, anybody? Okay, well, I thank you for teaching me something today. That's what always happens when I get in Zoom is I find more things. I find that's really well thought out. A lot of the things you want to be able to do with a system like this, there's a way to do them with Zoom. And so I just kind of found out by using it, and don't be afraid to just start using it. I think you'll find it's a lot easier to navigate and operate if you've been using WebEx, and I know they're going to be phasing out WebEx, so you might as well just jump into Zoom. And
Do we know when they're going to do that?
Suzanne, do you know? End of the year or end of spring? I don't know, one or the other.
Yeah, so it's the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30. But one of the things that the dean of our school, Science, Math, and Engineering, has said is that he wants us all to go to and have a common look and feel with our environments. And so all of tutoring is going to Zoom, all of our external workshops that are held to support our students are going to Zoom. And so we're hoping that all the classes will go to Zoom as well. But it is if you're not there by summer term, you will be forced to be there on July 1.
Okay. And I'm happy to have anybody email me if you have any further questions. If any of you has a cool little Zoom tip that you know about that I might not, please feel free to email me and share, and I'll share with others. So I don't claim to be the expert. I just claim to be the crazy one that just dove in on day one, even though I had never used it in a class, and just went boom, and it worked out really well. So I'm not sorry that I did. Thanks for attending, and please continue to share. If you got any things with me, send me an email.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. By the way, Alt-Q quits. Sometimes I got all these windows open and I just want to end the Zoom and I'm in the middle of something else. Alt-Q is the quit thing to end the meeting.
That's how people end so much faster than I do. I'm like, how do they find the leave button?
Yeah, because the leave button, if you're sharing screens and stuff, isn't there easily. Alt-Q.
Thank you so much, Shauna. This was awesome. I really appreciate it.
All right, see you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Now I can't stop the recording.
Okay, I will do Alt-Q because I think maybe I need to. I don't know.
I don't I don't see the polling option or the breakout room option on mine.
Oh, really? It's on mine. Maybe because I'm the...
Oh, because you're in control.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah,
when
yeah.
you're in control, you could. So
Yeah.
I get to end the meeting. So
Okay.
I do that. All righty.
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.